actually met for the first time. That's so sweet. They've been married for 27 plus years now and have a daughter, Danielle, that just turned 20 and is playing field hockey for St. Mike's College. Her major is declared as psychology and criminology, but her father thinks her major is Snapchat. And with that, I will give you Jay and let you all be much happier today.
Hey folks, how we doing?
Great.
Hey Andy. Been a while. Good to see you. Magic box. Have some props for you today. I rewrote my speech to make it Rotary specific, or at least applicable to everybody here. So have you ever wished you could just pick your mood? Right? You ever kind of envious of those people that run around just always in a great mood and nothing bothers them and just troubles just fade away off in the distance? I'm here to tell you that you actually can pick your mood. In fact, your mood is the only thing that you have 100% control of in your life. I'll put a little asterisk off to the side. We'll talk about that later if that comes up. Jim Rohn had a great quote that I absolutely love. He said, "All life form on planet Earth strives for their maximum potential, except the human." I'm going to say that one more time because that's pretty impactful. All life force on planet Earth strives for their maximum potential, except the human, because we're given the dignity of choice. So I think we need to make a few other better choices these days. So I have in my hand 12 of the best answers to the most asked question on planet Earth. Now, you're probably intellectually confounded right now. You're dying to know what the 12 best answers are, but you might not even know what the question is. Now, if you've seen the movie before, don't spoil it for some of the others, but does anybody know what the most asked question on planet Earth is? Any country, any language? Any guesses?
Why are we here?
That might be the most important. I'm looking for the sheer volume of questions.
How you doing?
Exactly correct. How are you? And I'm sad to say the most asked question on planet Earth is given the least amount of care and consideration. And that frustrates me. How many times have you gone through the mind-numbing exchange? How are you? Good and you. How are you? Good and you. Nobody cares. So I stand in front of you as the great disruptor like Amazon. Okay, Elizabeth, hit the lightning bolt sound effects. And I'm going to disrupt that. So I need a volunteer. Don't everybody jump at once. I only need one. Who wants to change their life forever? You've already done it. So Andy, come on up. Usually somebody jumps right out of the audience and says, pick me. And I'm like, that's kind of reckless. You don't even know what you're agreeing to. But they're so
stage, you just don't want to get humiliated.
I would never do that to my good friend Andy.
Good.
So Andy, we're going to change your life, forever.
Okay.
No big deal.
Okay.
I'm going to have you pick one of the 12 best answers to the
Okay.
most asked question. I'm going to give you the option. You can read them and pick the one you like, or if you're really brave / reckless, you can pick them blind. Now, before you do that, because you are going to change your life forever,
Okay.
you have to remember,
Yeah.
you're going to take the 10-day challenge.
Okay.
For the next 10 days, anytime anybody asks you how you are, you have to say whatever card you pick that's on your trigger card.
Ooh.
And any alliteration of that. How's it going? That's the same thing as how are you in my book.
Okay.
Face to face,
Yeah.
on the phone, email, or Insta-face tweet snap bookgram. However anybody asks you how you are,
Okay.
you're going to say this one word on this card for the next 10 days.
Okay.
Because I'm building an army of positivity to combat negativity on planet Earth.
Okay.
I think we could use a
As
lot
long
of
as they're all-
positivity.
as long as
They're all good words.
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
All right.
No, we haven't gone down the other road yet. And I don't want to. So do you want to let
Yeah.
fate take its course?
Yeah.
No.
I go to the other side.
The big word.
Wow.
Andy, how are you?
Phenomenal.
You are phenomenal. Because you get to pick your mood.
But do you know how to spell it?
So I'm going to give you the other book
Okay.
of 11. So you've got 12 cards.
Thank you.
You can either choose to, now it's not going to be easy.
Mhm.
We'll talk about that in a little bit. So you can either take that and do one a month because there's 12. That's kind of easy to math that out. But what I want you to do is at the end of 10 days, pay it forward.
Okay.
And give a card to somebody else.
Okay.
And then keep the momentum going. So
I will.
we'll give Andy a big round of applause for being brave, for coming up here. But sometimes people say, why are you in such a good mood, Jay? Like I get it at the gym once in a while. And I got a couple of answers for that. One day I said, and I go, like I was at spin this morning, right? So I get up early, I go, and I'm in the shower and it's early. And they're like, hey, you know, you're always amazing. What's going on with you? I say, you know what? My day started perfectly. Now I got to be careful with that. One guy looked at me like, you know, I had a little frisky action with the wife, but that wasn't where I was going. I said, my day started perfectly. He said, yeah, what's that? I said, I got to wake up. And you know what? Every time that happens, I have the best days ever. But really what I'm thinking is, you know, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't drug, I eat right, I try to exercise, but that's still no guarantee that I'm going to get to wake up tomorrow. So really what this is a little bit of awareness slashed in with some NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. We could get into the science, but I think that's kind of boring because nobody needs to be convinced the power of positivity and the benefits of that. You can go through Medical Digest an article on the powers of positivity. Anybody interested in reading my book, I think it's chapter 13, tell you all the little dirty secrets that happened to me and how everything worked out great. Now, am I a medical marvel? Probably not. Was my perpetual good mood and trying to not let things bother me and always looking for a better silver lining on that? I'll go with that. Sure. I'd rather be lucky than good. Just like, you know, the golfer Ben Hogan once said, I'd rather be lucky than good. So yeah, all we're really asking is to break that mindless exchange of how are you and take a minute and respond with something a little more upbeat and positive like that. Now, I hope the rest of you decide to try it. You have to be vulnerable. And I believe you can't achieve happiness unless you do experience vulnerability. Otherwise, you're guarded and protected. And you know what happens next? You're lying on your deathbed screaming the loudest, right? You hope you're on your deathbed going, man, I nailed it. I don't have another ounce to give. I'm happy with this. Fire up the rapture. Let's get it going. So people ask me, you know, how did you come up with this? We're just talking about saying one positive word. And I can tell you, I've given out thousands of these cards, sometimes in this type of, you know, fun and exciting and, you know, promoting way. Other times when nobody's looking, right? I'll be at the gym and I'll notice somebody off to the side and they look like they got the weight of the world on. I don't even know who they are. Find out who they are, slide a little card on their windshield wiper. Hour later, day later, they track me down on Facebook. They're going to find out. I've gotten the most beautiful messages from people I don't even know. Jay, how did you know I was going through a world this morning? I felt like I was all alone. And finally, somebody let me know they actually cared about me. Because you never really know what's going on between the 6 ears of somebody, you know, the 6 inches between somebody else's ears on where they are. And a nice little gesture can go a tremendously long way. So I get asked all the time, how did you come up with this? How did you come up with this? Well, I got a buddy, Tom Murphy. He owns Twig's Restaurant in St. Albans, 65 employees. That's his part-time job on the side for fun. He's got this great program, Sweethearts and Heroes, about anti-bullying. Has traveled the country, spoken to 2 million students from Maine to Hawaii and Canada. Literally has saved lives. Every time I went in to see Tom, and he's like this big, he's a former MMA cage fighter, you know, whatever they call that stuff, solid muscle. I'm not a small guy, but I'm not like a, wow, he's big. But every time I go in to shake Tom's hand, it's like shaking hands with a catcher's mitt. And he goes, I said, Tom, how you doing? He goes, man, I'm amazing. Wow, that's pretty cool. Well, if I looked like him and had his muscles and his stuff, I'd probably be amazing too. But every day I went in, he was amazing. I said, I think I like that. I want what he's drinking. I wonder if I could pull that off. So I thought about it a while. I said, it would be kind of cool. And I kind of like it. I like feeling better. I'm all about positivity. So I decide I'm going to go into the coffee shop that was next door at the time, Catalyst. They've moved around the corner. There's a young gal in there. She was probably 22, the nicest, kindest, unassuming, non-judgmental human I think I've ever met. So I said, well, that would be a good candidate because I'm really not risking anything there. So I go in to get my coffee. Oh, hi, Jay, how are you? And I had prepared to say amazing. And I went right back to the auto programming and said, good and you. And I went back in my car, berated myself. I said, what a chicken. So I got fired up the next day and I went in there and I was ready to go. Next day I went in there. Hey, Jay, how you doing? Good and you? I go out in the car and I'm beating myself up. I'm like, what do you got to be afraid of? Right. I learned how to fly planes so I can talk to air traffic control and do all that stuff to, fly into Boston, which is no easy task. Used to do some ski racing, been clocked 75 miles an hour coming down the front side of J Peak at a downhill race. Done triathlons, marathons, rode my bicycle from San Diego to Texas in 7 days. I can't go into the kindest gentle and say one word. That's not even a bad word. It's an easy word. So I go in there the third day and I'm like, I'm doing this no matter what. And I get up there and I'm waiting and she's off doing stuff for somebody else's order or whatever. I'm waiting. I'm like, amazing. I got this. And just as she came up to say, hey, Jay, how you doing? Another customer comes up and stands next to me. Good and you? I chickened out a third time. Now I go back in my car. I am just so irritated with myself. I'm like, okay, I got to do this. So the fourth day I go in there. She comes out and she says, Jay, how are you? And I go, amazing. Like I was a kid in puberty with my voice changing. She laughs. And I'm thinking, was she laughing at what I said or how I said it? Either way, I said, I'm taking the win. I went back in my car, patted myself on the back, even though it was kind of a shallow victory. And I did it. So the next day I went in, amazing, rolled out a little easier. And then every day after that, it got easier and easier and easier. And then one day they said, hey, what is it with you always being amazing? I said, you can pick your mood if you want. So that's why I call those trigger cards. It kind of like, every time you go to the grocery store and you're at the checkout aisle, that's when you think about you should have brought your bags, your reusable bags. The trigger's at the wrong end of the transaction. So you just need these reminders, hence the 12 trigger cards. So she said, what do you have, a bunch of cards at home and you just rifle through and pick your mood? Yeah, I do, as a matter of fact. So what a great idea. So Imoodivate was born. Right? I moodivate somebody else. You change somebody else's mood by doing what I just did. I motivated Andy. So another time I'm in my gym, Duke's, and there's a guy over there, Dave, Harley riding, beard toting, construction guy, has done time multiple times. And I don't think he's ever gone to the big house, but I think he's gone to jail a couple of times. Low level beefs, like a skirmish in the streets or whatever. He's not a violent criminal. And one day I decide to put a card on his Harley as I'm walking out to my car. I thought it was a good idea at the time. 3 months go by. Dave comes into my office to talk about something. I've got one of my cards stuck up to my computer. So he comes in, he's a big burly guy. Like if you saw him coming down the street, you keep an eye on him. You might walk on the other side of the sidewalk or something. And Dave and I have been friends for a while. And he comes in and he's in mid-sentence telling me about his thing. Now here's this big, serious, hard, rough guy. And he's in mid-sentence, he looks over on my computer and sees the card. He goes, hey, where'd you get that card? And I'm like, oh man, did I scratch his gas tank? Am I in trouble or something? Right? So I said, well, I got this program, I do this thing. You left one of my gas tank at Duke's about 3 months ago. I had forgotten about it, right? And then I was like, yeah, that sounds like something I do. Changed my life forever. I put it on the refrigerator and look at it every time I walk out the door. So I'm like, geez, the big burly, guy, I really got after him and I changed his life. But it does take a concerted effort to actually do it because you've been programmed. I think by the time you get into your 70s, I did the math 1 million times. Good and you, good and you. So it's going to be a little tricky to break that habit just like that, but you have to work at it. you'll impact a lot of different people's lives. So you go get your coffee at the gas station or wherever you do it, and that clerk has done that 1,000 times a day, every day. And you go in there and they'll say, "How are you doing?" You say, "Amazing, phenomenal, fantastic, fabulous, magnificent." And you stop them in their tracks. You've disrupted that mindless exchange. And every once in a while, somebody wants to have that conversation with you. And it boosts their mood and it boosts your mood as well. So it's kind of cool like that. But one time I was tuning skis for my daughter's ski race late at night on I guess it was a Sunday night. And all of a sudden the sharp pain came in my stomach and over I went down. I was like, man, what is going on here? And it felt like somebody stabbed me in the gut. So I kind of white knuckle it back in the house, and everybody wants to call the ambulance and bring me to the hospital. I'm like, no, give me a few minutes, give me a few minutes. After a while, I'm like, I'm not winning that battle. All right, let's go. We're going up to the hospital. So I go up there and I'm in sheer pain. And I get to the check-in clerk. And you know what she says? "How are you?" And I'm like this, I'm biting my teeth. I need the stick in there like the old times. And I'm like this, and I look at my wife and she looks at me. I thought she knew what I was thinking because she's like, "Well, you got to answer the question. You said you were going to say." So I look at her, I'm like, "Oh, amazing." So I'm still on my streak of amazing. So, once in a while, we'll talk about the negative Nellies when you do go down this road, because there's always somebody that wants to be that person going, "Gotcha," right in the back of the bus, throwing bombs on that idea that only works 98% of the time. Oh, imagine that. I wish everything worked that well. They say, "I saw you in a bad mood once." And I said, "What point did I ever guarantee you tens every day, all day long?" All I'm saying is to be aware of it, that you are in charge, you can control your mood. And when you get in a bad mood and you start diving down, and for me, I don't know, something happens, whatever happens, and it's usually me, right? Somebody could say something to me one day and I'm like, "Hey, no big deal, whatever." And a month later, I'm in a different mindset. They say something to me and I'm like, "That's son of a bitch." And now I'm stewing over it for a week. So you naturally are going to have this undulation of moods, and they come and go, and ups and downs and whatever. And that's how life is going to be. My point is, if you're mentally aware of it, and for me, it takes about a week. When I get into a bad mood, I got to grind it up like the garbage disposal, figure it out, distract, get rid of it, and go on my way. But the next time I'm going down to a 3 on a 1 to 10 scale, kind of aware of it, lucky to be alive. We're here, pretty good country to live in. Pull back on the yoke. Maybe I'll go down to a 4 that time. And then when I'm headed up to a 5, you lean in on it. Maybe you can lean it up to an 8 or something else like that. And you can take those undulations a little bit higher and boost it. So it's not a guaranteed mood all the time. It's just better than it was. And I think that's a pretty cool thing. Now, I will confess to you my dirty little secret about the whole program, which sounds altruistic and running around with pixie dust going, "Hey, it's amazing. Everything's wonderful." You are sharing some kindness throughout the world. But the dirty little secret is it's not altruistic. You're not just giving this donation, because I challenge every single one of you in here to try it. And when you're making somebody else smile, it makes you smile too. I challenge you to be in a bad mood and do this to somebody else. So it is self-serving as much as, you're supposed to be serving others. But I think that's a pretty good transaction to go, oh, that's a win-win in just about anybody's book. So I think I'll tell you one other quick thing. Do I have time? Am I over, under, close? Perfect. So I do these vlogs about the program. There's all different, it's like the onion, a million different layers when you look at it. So it was Friday, Saturday. Wife said something and we were like this. We got into it. So I got a rule after, when you get into an argument, if the ping pong ball goes back 3 times, to stop and walk away, because you're no longer fighting about what the topic is. You start fighting about how you fought. So I'm like, do no harm, walk away, calm down, deal with it later. So that usually takes me about a week to come back out, but I got to do this vlog. So I go in my office, I set up my computer, and I start videoing myself, and I do this vlog, and I play it back to myself, and I'm like, that would take anybody in a good mood and turn to the worst. I mean, that is just absolutely terrible. I'm counterproductive. So I say it again. I force myself. I got to get this thing out today. It's scheduled. We got to do it. So after around take 8 or 10, it got a little better. And you know what? I felt a little better too, because I was forcing myself to say positive things, which boosted my mood. It still wasn't ready for prime time. So I go back in the house to have some breakfast. Wife's in there. She says hello. So that's like, okay, she's not going to kill me. So that's a win there. It's not as bad as I thought. Do whatever, go back out, do 4 or 5 more takes. And by take 15, it was, show worthy. Wasn't my best work. Nobody knew what mood I was in when I did it. So I put it out there and it was fine. Nobody knew to the wiser. What I did is I short circuited that 7-day of I'm going to be in a bad mood until I grind it up and get rid of it to 1 day or half a day, just by forcing myself to say something out loud. I saved myself 6.5 days of this. So it's the power, again, the neuro linguistic programming is the power of saying things out loud. In sports, I do motivational talks to athletes about they're worried about their thoughts and screwing up, they'll hit the ball the way. If you say what you're trying to achieve, it is 10 times more powerful and accurate than thinking it. If you wait for the thoughts to come to you, that's being reckless and saying, I hope that works out for me. Hope's not a plan, right? A plan is a plan. Execution is a plan, right? So saying it out loud has a tremendous amount of power in your mindset and in doing that. So I think that's all I really wanted to cover here today. I guess we have some questions.
Yeah, so I'd just like to comment on the opposite of what you're talking about and how horrible it is. So my husband and I just went through a real estate deal. We were selling a couple buildings to a man who is, I think I've come to assume that he is one of the meanest people on the planet.
Mhm.
A very negative
Mhm.
person. And one of the interesting things in this whole process, as he kept telling us, this isn't any good, you gotta fix this, blah, 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 blah. All the people around him, his lawyer, his banker, his realtor, were likewise mean. I mean, they would send my husband emails. I can't believe you're doing this, blah, blah, blah. So first of all, I always said to my husband when in the morning, when you get up,
Mhm.
you can choose to be happy or you can choose to be miserable. Clearly, we know what choice this man has made, but it was, so my husband chose to just step back
Mm.
and not let that vitriol ruin his day. We played golf, we had fun, but all this crap that was coming from these people. First of all, my husband thought, how can there be this many nasty people?
Yeah.
I said, I don't think it's them. I think they're getting it from him. He's passing it on and they're passing it on to us. And the fact that we are choosing not to respond to it is protecting us. It's also not that in other places. This isn't a one-off.
Sure, absolutely.
But that's the tricky part is when someone comes at you mean or nasty. I personally don't have the fortitude to turn it around and say, and how are you?
Yeah.
I can't do that.
Well,
But I can stop it. I'm just not responding in kind.
absolutely. And it really comes down to you're not responsible for what other people do. You're responsible for your reaction to it.
Yeah.
Right. I tell my daughter all the time when she was learning to drive. And I apply this to other things in her life. You're at the intersection, your light turns green, you start going. You see this other person's going to run the red light, but I got the right of way, so I'm going to go. Yep, the car's smashed, you could get hurt. It's going to take days and months of inconvenience and chasing everything down. But you were right. But was it worth it? Right? Save yourself. Walk away to fly another day. Sherry.
I'm that waitress. I grew up in a diner. So from the time I was 12 on, I have asked 1 million+ times.
Yeah.
How are you today? How are you? How are you? And I would get that as well as can be expected under the presently prevailing circumstances answer. And then I would get that, with a downward but what really always, and maybe it's part of why I'm always bright-eyed in the morning because I got up early for a number of years. But when you just stop and you say to somebody, when they say, you say, how are you? And they say, then you just stop and you say, but
What are you doing under there to begin with? That's your choice.
Hey, Jay.
Yeah.
I heard the expression, I heard Abraham Lincoln was quoted as saying most folks are as happy as they make their minds up to.
I think I saw that the other
I
day.
don't know if he really said that, but I've heard that and tried
Yeah.
to live by that.
Yeah,
You know,
Good
those are
for
big
you.
words.
good for you. But the power of positivity is just. And I saw a study one time, I can't find it again, that all the great things that happen from being positive and from, right up to the medical condition to flipping a quarter. It's like you can almost will it to, and the percentage was probably 49.9 to 51.1, but I'll take it. Oh, yes. Angela. Oh, I think we lost her.
No,
she's back.
I'm like multitasking. Doing all the
I'm a
things
male,
that
so I
you-
have no idea what you just said.
Right. I have to bring my child to the bus stop soon, but I love this message, and I have a question that sort of challenges it.
I hope you're talking about the asterisk that I spoke about early on, because I do have an answer, but go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, and I'm sorry, we lost the audio a little bit when I think it was Sharon was just talking. So if I'll apologize in advance in case this was already said. I grew up with a mom who was taught that negative emotions were bad, like unacceptable. And so I heard she doing the best that she could, told me a lot as a kid, just smile. And if you're feeling bad, have a cup of tea. And, did you know that when you smile, it actually makes you feel different? And it does all the, that whole thing, like the messages it sends to your brain and everything. And I know there's truth to that. And at the same time, throughout my adulthood, I've learned to really accept and embrace feeling not great. And the vulnerability that I really value is when people can share that, like I'm actually having a hard time, that kind of thing. So so while I love the message you're sending, and I actually will try to do it and try to do it already, I also really want people to know that it's okay to feel bad. So I was just wondering what you say to that, and like the notion of toxic positivity.
Yeah, I absolutely. It's okay. I mean, there's no guarantee that this just is a light switch and you always feel great. And you do have to embrace those negative feelings and work them out. I said early about you have 100, that's the only thing in your life you have 100% control of. And then I put an asterisk in there. So I work in the banking world. We're full of asterisks and disclosure language and all that stuff. So I put that in there to make sure that, that I've thought about this, and the program is somewhat all encompassing. The program's light and fluffy and meant for having fun, finding other people that are similar minded and having fun with them. And if you're both hanging out in a positive 7, maybe you can boost it up to an 8, 8.5 by having that relationship discussion together or whatever. By no means am I saying if you're depressed that to snap out of it, and this card is the magic trick to that. I knew one person in my life that was clinically diagnosed, admitted to the hospital for months, depressed. And it was a family member, and I looked into their eyes during that time, and it scared the ever living bejesus out of me. I thought I saw the devil for a moment like that. So telling those people snap out of it, or all you got to do, is more harmful than doing nothing. So in those cases, for that type of person that is still trying to white knuckle their way through the day-to-day life, I don't say just run up to them, hey, I'm amazing, how about you? All you got to do is snap out of it. You have to be very careful with those folks, because that is a very serious and sensitive area. And I think the best comment at this point, unless we find a better one, is it's good to see you. And that doesn't put the pressure on them that you're missing out, and why don't you reply the way I do? And you're building that relationship. And I think they know what you mean by that. And I think that's the best thing you can do in that situation. Does that get close to where you wanted to be on that answer?
Yeah, I like, it's really good to see you. Yeah.
And the other rule with the program is there's no correcting, right? So if everybody in here took the challenge that I'm going to say I'm amazing for the next 10 days, And I speak to students. They're great at correcting somebody as soon as they make a mistake, right? That's not helpful. Gotcha. So that you're doing the wrong thing. Once in a while, if I call a buddy that has taken the challenge, hey, Andrew, how's it going? Good news. Well, wait a minute. I think my phone broke up there for a second. Can I ask you again? So again, it's light, playful. It's not meant to incur any damage or harm at all. It's meant to have some fun. And I just think, we're living in one of the greatest times technologically advanced in society. And so many people just start out lower than they should be and more negative than they want to be. Sometimes they don't even mean it. So just a little bit of awareness, have some fun, spread it around, let a couple people know that you give, you care about them. It's fun.
You ever heard of an AGM?
AGM.
It's, if you're in the restaurant industry, you'd know this. As soon as you go through the kitchen door into the dining room, you put on your artificial good mood.
Oh. So it's interesting. Twigs adopted a program, an initiative, I guess we'd call it. So we took 6 of the moods, blew them up into giant coasters, and did like 25,000 of them for the summer. And then we trained the staff to, when they greet the table, they lay out the coasters and say, welcome to Twigs. You get to choose your food and you get to choose your mood. Which one do you want to choose? And you start playing it up that way, because and I trained customer service a little bit. And I originally sat him down. I said, look, I know where the grocery store is. I can buy steak. I have an oven at home. I'm here to be entertained, right? And to experience, I want to feel something. And if you're running around and you're busy and you got a scowl, I feel like I'm responsible for your suffering. I'm not going to come back and put you through that. So you got to turn around and turn on the charm and stuff. There is one server at Twigs that embraced this thing, knocked it out of the park, doubled her tips in a 6-hour shift, many hundreds of dollars, just by having a good time with it. Because you know what? People that are in good mood spend more money. And then she comes back to me and she goes, I got to tell you, I didn't care about the money. I care about the money, but I didn't realize it was going to benefit me as much as, mentally as it did financially. So she loves the program. So we're going to try to repeat it in another restaurant. Problem is not everybody wanted to do it. So some servers are a little more, in their own shell. And then what was happening is you're with Nicole, and she's having time. You guys are having the time of your life with your table, and she's whipping out the cards and you're high five. Hey, was that chicken fried? Right? And then you're over here going, I didn't get any cards. My chicken's just okay. So you got to figure out, it's got to be an all or nothing, type of thing. But, yeah. Any other questions, comments, concerns, ideas? How many here think they can say one word today?
Sure.
Couple, yeah. I'll guarantee you will interact and create some relationships that are very. You'll be surprised. Let me put it that way. It's not as easy as it looks. As I.
How do you feel? You can say,
Sure,
it's how you say whatever.
my experience is 99% of the goods are good.
But it's important that you not think that if you come back at them like, I'm good too, like, or just like, I don't know, I think how you say your words.
Well, absolutely. And it's spreading too. Like someone else, I think it was you that mentioned the spreading of, when you start, like, so I don't drink just for trying to be an athlete and in whatever. So when I go out on a boat, and that's the bad place to not be a drinker. So it always comes up, they go, hey, Jay, you want a beer? No, thanks. I'm fine. No. Hey, no. And then finally I said, what's wrong with that? I don't drink. Oh, you know what? I've really cut down lately too, and I don't drink as much. And and then 10 minutes later, they're over talking with the guy that's always getting hammered. Man, we got so hammered last night. I couldn't believe how much I drank. So whatever you start with, people want to contribute likewise to be in the conversation or whatever. So it's a lot of fun. I hope you enjoy it. I hope it does something for you. Andy, good to see you. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Reed.
Thank you. So Jay also has cards and a book and a website, Imoodivate. So check it out. It's pretty cool. And in gratitude for you speaking for us today, we're going to make a donation in your name to the mentoring program at Williston Central School. So
Thank you very much.
thanks so much for being here. And I gotta run.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jay. That was great. That was amazing. And Vince is our assistant sergeant at arms today because Marty's with Barb.
Good morning. So.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm awesome. And I hope that's one of the cards. So I'll just tell you, so I'm gonna give $1 for Jay's speech. I will say I didn't go through his program. I went through a different kind of program, which was called Happy Handshake, which is sales and marketing or top executive. It's all about how you greet people. You can greet them as a 1, or you can greet them as a 10. At that point, I started saying awesome. That's probably been 12 years. It also, which I think is important, is listen to the person who responds. Sometimes if they say that they're, you say awesome or good, how can you be, how can we make you be better? Or some people would respond like, they'd say something like off the wall. And if you don't respond back, they know you're really not listening. So he'd say like, great afternoon or something like that, or good afternoon when it's morning. So it's like, I always stop them. So it's really all about really making it engaging between the two. So I thought it was powerful. I'd recommend the book just from the speech that you gave. So I hope everybody does that. Second $1 is I'm trying to channel my inner Marty. I really don't have funky socks. So, but this has some orange in it. That's about the best. I'm also, since Armand was Sergeant Arms, this is my inner Armin with the Hawaiian shirt. So that's number 2. And the third was had a great visit with my mom last couple of days. So I get to see her every 4 to 6 weeks. She's out in Schenectady, and had a great time and enjoyed it. So there's my 3. Who else has? And at least today we're a very small crowd. So give as much as you can give. Walter.
So, $1 for the speech. I mean, I just like the idea of positive thinking in general, that you can control what you want to think. And I always said that to students, that you can make a choice. You can either be upbeat or you can be sad, but that's your choice. And the twins were up this weekend, so we had a lively time this week. If I don't.
So Walter, how are you today?
Oh,
Sorry. So how are you today? You're awesome.
how old are the twins?
They are now 4. Yeah.
So Chris, how are you today?
I'm doing really well, thank you. I'd like to pay $1 for Jay. I loved what you had to say, very Tony Robbins-ish. But yours is a much better style. I appreciate it. And the other $1 is Andrew and I went out to eat the other night, and the meal was not great. And the server was a person that we've had several times before, and he was really listening. I mean, the tomato on his chicken sandwich was white. It was terribly, it was not ripened. And this guy really listened, and then he told us as kind of a sad fact that he's leaving because he got a job working in was it Homeland Security or something like that. Yeah. But nice guy, really good energy, and I was tipping well. So it does make a difference. Yeah.
$1 for Jay. Good to see you again. We'll come over and talk. Awesome skier. I've flown with him at the pilot seat. Cool guy.
Landings equal the number of takeoffs, so that's a good day.
Yeah, exactly.
Good man.
Part of that, short story, I got my pilot's license.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So before I go on, would you mind reading some of the other ones on that card?
Yeah.
And Ian, how are you doing today?
Phenomenal. Awesome is red. Amazing is green. Wonderful is purple. Unbelievable is blue. Fabulous. Darling. What movie is that from?
Better to look good than feel good is
Something like that.
Saturday Night Live or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Spectacular. Magnificent. Incredible. Fantastic. And exceptional. Wow.
Great,
Are you?
thank you. Thanks. Andrew, I see you have a dollar there, so how are you?
Awesome. Although it wasn't awesome last night because for some reason I didn't turn my phone on all day and I didn't notice. Good, I'm not dependent on it anyway.
Yeah, there you go.
Because I didn't get the email that the race was starting an hour earlier because of the fall. It happens every fall, you know. So I missed the boat.
You missed the race. Oh, no.
But I got to have a nice dinner with my wife instead.
There you go.
Thank
Way
you.
to turn it around. Rick's got his hand up.
Morning, Rick.
Germany.
How are you? How are you this morning?
We're doing great. We're in Moselkern, Germany. And I have a euro.
Okay, we'll take it when you get back.
Greetings, we're doing well. We're heading back on Monday, but we've been, this morning we went to Elks Castle, which if you've been to Germany, you've probably heard of. It was a wonderful, wonderful trip. And we're also looking forward to getting back, but glad to see everyone. Have a good day.
Yeah, and you too. Somebody else on the board have their hand up?
Okay, so $1 for the speaker, thank you very much. I was really good when I got here this morning, now I'm amazing. My baseball $1, I still love baseball. Not very happy with my team, but I still love baseball.
They're fantastic.
Right, they're fantastic. Right?
Phenomenal.
Last Saturday, my husband and I celebrated our 39th wedding anniversary by playing golf in Newport, great golf club, and then going to Derby Line for dinner at the Derby Line Village Inn, which has an Austrian chef. So we had some, Rick, we had some German food on Saturday night. It was wonderful. And then my really happy dollar is the real estate deal went through yesterday. We are done with evil mean guy, and my husband's no longer a landlord, and so I'm very happy about that.
Okay, that was some change.
No,
Ellie, I think you have a dollar. How are you today?
I'm doing super. Dollar for Jay. I think it was a great speech and it's really nice to, get kicked out of autopilot every now and then. And, yeah, thank you.
You. Hey, Sherry, that's Mike. How are you today?
I'm still good, but I'm good. Like
How did we get you to?
Tell it, sister.
Like I think anyone that knows me knows I'm just, I just totally appreciate what you're taking what I have always felt, and I feel like you're validating it, and it feels great. I'm so glad to know that you're out there doing what you're doing, spreading the love, spreading the happiness. And when you watch the news for even 20 minutes nowadays, it can just bring you right down. So you really do have to have that inner positive energy to pull out of it, right? And move on with your day. So thank you. And so one for Jay and one, I'm just like loving life, I guess. I love my new job with Cathedral Square and the grant program that I'm out working on, helping people get their home set up. I was trying to do it with my business and being self-employed, but the whole marketing thing was a challenge. I just wasn't able to make the changes. I didn't have a handyman to go in and just make these modifications to people's homes. And now with this grant program, it's happened. And so it's so fun to see people that aren't financially set, who want to stay in their homes, finally getting just some minor changes to their homes and being able to stay there, or hoping to anyway, granted things keep going good, so health wise. But anyway, so I'm feeling good. Great, awesome. We have time. Oliver.
I definitely needed this speech. This morning, we started out with this blankety blank machine doing all kinds of nasty things. I wasn't in a good mood. My friend who I've been talking about helping out, got his cataract surgery done, and although there are some little complications that have to be straightened out, he can now see some things in the world, and that's a wonderful result. And Sonia and I have been busy stocking up our freezer. We put in 31 pint and a half of sweet corn cut off the cob, and some strawberries and some green beans, and we're getting ready for winter.
I thought you were gonna say 31 pints of Ben and Jerry's ice cream. Pine corn.
See where your priority is.
We have Jude. Morning, Jude. How are you today?
I'm great, as a matter of fact. The sun has come out, the fog has lifted, so you have to be good about that. Yes, I really enjoyed the speaker today. It made me think about one time many years ago going to one of the fast food restaurants, and it had been a really hard day, and I got in there and we had the most bubbly waitress ever. And I remember coming out and saying to my husband, I could care less about how the food was, but she really changed my day. So I agree with Jay that you can change people's moods just by trying to be positive. So that's one for Jay, which I will pay next week. The second one is for Sally's son, Hazen. On Sunday at the Federated Church, he was the one that came up and spoke about playing the bagpipes. And there's always a period of time in the service where Pastor Paul usually talks to the kids. And so Hazen was kind of filling that spot and explaining to them the fact that there are two different kinds of bagpipes and everything. So I actually learned something, and Sally, it made me feel like I was back at the Cliffs of Moher in Ireland. We were there on a vacation, and there were two people playing the bagpipes. And while we didn't expect to stay at the Cliffs of Moher for half a day, we did just to listen to them. So I learned more about the different kinds of bagpipes from Hazen, but I also got a nostalgic trip back to a really beautiful day. So special thanks to him.
Thank you, Jude. Anybody else at home? All right. Jay, if you wouldn't mind, would you pick a ticket?
For a lottery.
It is.
All right, last three numbers, 812.
It's me again.
Yeah. Really?
I'll take it.
Buddy, thank you. Have a great, awesome, amazing day.
I wish my body's done.